Hi, friends. This is the reading lesson for second grade. We are in our new unit, and we are going to read a story called The Coldest Place on Earth. Before we start, I want you to take a look at the pictures and think about, is this story going to be a fiction fake story or a nonfiction real story? What do you think? I hope you think that it's going to be a nonfiction real story. This is an informational text. It tells us right here in the upper right-hand corner. And we can see that from the photographs that you see on the bottom of page 6 and page 7. These are real photographs of things from Antarctica. So you can see like the glaciers and the mountains and the snow and the penguins. And you can also see this map right here. That often tells us that it's also going to be an informational text. While we are reading today, we are going to underline key events, and then we're going to highlight key events, and then we will write two main ideas. This story only has 4 paragraphs, so it would be a pretty quick read. So make sure as you're reading that you are ready to highlight when I pause the video. Here we go.
Short read 1. Remember to annotate as you read.
The coldest place on Earth. Brr! Covered by a thick blanket of snow and ice that never melts, Antarctica is the iciest, windiest, and emptiest place on Earth. Its barren landscape has no trees and few plants. Some people visit, but none live there. Only a few tough animals can survive Antarctica's harsh winters. One of them is an amazing bird.
Antarctica is the frozen land around the South Pole.
Meet the emperor penguin. These barrel-shaped birds can't fly. They are too heavy, and their wings are too short. They can't walk too well either. These penguins spend most of their lives in the freezing cold sea. A thick layer of blubber, or fat, and shiny feathers act like a heavy, waterproof jacket.
The penguins find fish to eat in the sea.
Okay, let's stop right there. I want you to grab your highlighters, and we're going to highlight a few key events. So we are learning about the coldest place on Earth called what? Antarctica. So let's highlight Antarctica. And it describes Antarctica in 3 different ways. See if you can find it. The iciest, the windiest, and the emptiest place on Earth. Kind of crazy when you think about it that way, huh? The iciest, so it has the most ice anywhere in the world. The windiest, it has the strongest winds anywhere in the world, and most often. And it is the emptiest, which means that there's no one that lives there, only just a few trees and plants and some tough animals. So we learned that there is one tough animal that lives there because they can survive the harsh winters, right? So it says, we should probably highlight that. Only a few tough animals can survive the harsh winters. Okay, now let's go into paragraph 2. What is that animal called? It's the emperor penguin. And we learn that the emperor penguin can't do something that most birds can do. What can't they do? They can't fly. Their wings are too short and too heavy. And what else? They can't walk too well. So they can't fly. They can't walk very well, but what are they very good at doing? They're good at swimming, right? So it says these penguins spend most of their lives in the freezing cold sea. Now, why are they able to spend their lives in the freezing cold sea? If we were in the freezing cold sea, we would be freezing. We couldn't do it, but they have something special on their body. What is that called? A thick layer of blubber or fat, and shiny feathers act like a heavy waterproof jacket. So think of a raincoat. Their blubber and their shiny feathers helped keep them from getting wet. It's kind of interesting, right? And it keeps them warm enough so the cold, freezing water doesn't affect them. Okay, let's keep reading. You can put the cap on your highlighter, and we're going to read on page 8 and 9.
All the penguins waddle across the ice when it's time to lay eggs. Each mother lays one egg and then waddles back to the sea to eat. Who will keep those fragile eggs from breaking or freezing? The fathers wiggle the eggs onto their feet, right under their bellies. There the egg stays safe and warm.
The father penguin balances the egg on his feet for 2 months.
The wind is freezing cold. All the fathers huddle together to keep each other warm. Then one day, tap, tap, crack! The eggs hatch. The mothers come back to feed and care for their chicks. Now it's the father's turn to eat. Soon the penguin families will return to the sea again.
The fathers take turns standing on the inside of the huddle, out of the wind.
Okay, so now it's talking about when the penguins lay their eggs, right? So we have one egg that gets laid by the mother. All right, so let's go ahead. Probably should highlight that. So it says each mother lays one egg, okay? And then she goes back to the sea, right? So she goes back to the sea to eat after she lays that egg. So then who protects that egg? The fathers do, right? So it says the fathers keep the eggs, let's see, onto their feet, right under their bellies, and they keep them safe and warm. So how long do the fathers have to do that for? Did you catch it? 2 months. 2 months. They are standing there protecting, whoops, hold on a second. Protecting that egg for 2 months. Oops, it won't let me highlight right there, but you guys can highlight it on your paper. 2 months, crazy. Then what happens? Once the egg hatches, the mother comes back, right? Because she has to feed and care for the chick. And then what does the father get to do? He gets to go back and eat. So that father penguin doesn't eat for 2 weeks while he's balancing that egg on his feet. And then I love this picture down here. It shows so many penguins, right? And it says that they take turns standing on the inside of the huddle out of the wind. So sometimes they're on the outside where it's really windy, and sometimes that they're on the inside where it's a little bit warmer for them. Okay, so you can go ahead and put the cat back on your highlighter. We're going to turn back to page 6 and page 7. And we are going to write a main idea. So on page 7, we're going to write our main idea. So we learned in these 2 paragraphs that there is an animal that is tough enough to survive here, right? So that's pretty much what our main idea is. So we're going to name the animal. So do you remember what it's called? The emperor penguin. We'll say emperor penguins are tough enough to survive in the cold, windy, and icy Antarctica. Whoops. I knew I spelled that wrong. There we go. So emperor penguins are tough enough to survive in the cold, windy, and icy Antarctica. Go ahead and pause the video and finish writing that. And when you're ready, we'll turn the page. On page 8, we'll do it on page 8 this time. We'll write, whoops. Sorry about that, friends. We'll write our second main idea. Okay, so this one, on these 2 pages, we are learning about the mother and the father and their job with the egg, right? So what might we say about the mother and the father? So the mother lays 1 egg, and I want you to fill in the rest. Then what happens? Who takes care of that egg before it hatches? So go ahead and pause the video and finish this main idea. The mother lays 1 egg and then blank. Okay, what did you say? Did you say something like, it doesn't have to be exact, but it has to be something like, and then the father cares for the egg until it hatches? Again, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine, but it does need to talk about the father caring for the egg until it hatches. All right, that is it for our reading lesson today, friends. Great work. We will use this story in our small groups this week. Great job. See you later.